we are turning back to the terrorism, the violent extremism summit at the White House today. We did talk about semantics, but there was this exchange at the White House between Ed Henry and Josh Earnest talking about these two incidents. One, the Muslims killed in North Carolina, in the statement, and two, the Egyptians beheaded in Libya.
It went out under your name. Why didn't you say 21 Christians were killed?
Well, Ed, I've tried to be clear here. I can't account for that specific line in the statement, but we've been clear there that we condemn this murder.
You put out a statement under the president's name about the tragic deaths of the 3 Muslim students at the University of North Carolina. Why was their Muslim faith relevant in that statement?
People should not, regardless of their faith, be targeted because of what their last name is, what they look like, or how they worship.
We don't know that they were targeted because of their last name or their faith.
So I guess, Ed, what you could, and I think that's acknowledged in the statement as well.
So I guess the difference here, and the president mentioned it again today, was this North Carolina incident, which we have not heard the end of this investigation, pointing towards a religious overtone, but there wasn't one in the beheading of the Coptic Christians.
What Josh Earnest just said made absolutely no sense. He was asked, why are you implying this is about Muslims? No, we only want to say is nobody should be targeted. And then Ed says, but there's no evidence of that. He says, oh, we acknowledge that as well. Look, and Ed's question, I think, is really one that goes to the heart of this. Here's an incident in North Carolina where there is not a shred of objective outside evidence of a religious motive. There was, this is a guy who was harassing everybody in the building. I saw an interview with one of the tenants who said that this is a guy who carried equal opportunity anger. There was a meeting of the tenants over this guy. There was no indication whatsoever in the meeting among anybody that he was anti-Muslim. There's nothing in the tweets or the other stuff he put out that we know about that has anything religious in it. And yet the president makes a point of talking about nobody ought to be targeted. And yet in Libya, where 21 Christians are beheaded because they are Christians, to the point where even the Pope acknowledges and deplores that, the White House issues a statement that refers to these as Egyptian citizens.
Not just as long as we refuse, this is Richard in Sacramento, as long as we refuse to connect ISIS with Islam, Muslims will not think of it as their problem. Richard. I don't know.
I don't know about that, but just picking up on Charles's point, another proof point that they messed up by not having Egyptian Christians was the president did have Egyptian Christians in his op-ed today in the LA Times. They finally got it right today. So the most benign thing you can say about this White House, the best thing I can say about the White House, I'll say it again, it is the worst White House communications team in the history of White House communications teams. And guess what? I know we were done talking about 2016, but the communications director at the White House, a wonderful woman, Jennifer Palmieri, like her, worked with her for years, is going to be the communications director of the Hillary Clinton campaign. What does that tell you?
But again, a goose going through the jet engine will be sucked through, and she will not have a job.
I gotta say, Jen Palmieri is one of my favorite people in Washington. It's hard to believe.
But she has not done. She has not led a very good communication.
I don't blame her. It must be somebody else. I like Jen too much.
She's in charge.
And
I love her too. But you know what? You can't keep failing up in this town.
It is not her fault. She has a boss who's saying things, believing things, implying things that are so indefensible that you could not have, Noah Webster himself running communications in the White House who could successfully do it.
Totally
Josh Earnest is stumped about 3 times a day because there's no explaining what the president does.
What is really startling is that sometimes it seems like they don't think we have videotape to go back.
Or an Ed Henry on the scene.
Or anybody who remembers anything.
He's so awesome.
Zorro Kitty says, how can the president write an op-ed for the LA Times and Josh Earnest not be familiar with the text? That's ludicrous.
I'm very concerned about the name Zorro Kitty. I don't think that's a real name. I really don't. As a journalist, I'm calling into question the name Zorro Kitty. No, I mean, look. It's
How many clips do you want?
It's interesting to me, though, and distressing, I will say, how often the president seems to reflexively go after Christians. I'm sorry to say that. It's true.
No, wait.
No, go after.
Now, how is the president of the States going after Christians? That's a pretty...
I'll tell you why. invoking the Crusades. Yes, it is. By tying modern Christians, by saying to Christians, look, you have no basis upon which to judge these actions.
He didn't say that. That's not what he said.
That's exactly what. Get off your high horse. That's exactly what.
That's not going after Christians.
It's telling them you are in some way responsible for what happened 1,000 years ago in Jerusalem.
Is not going after
it's telling you can't judge. Get off your high horse. You can't judge.
That's not going after.
Really, because I had nothing to do with the Crusades. And no, I'm serious. I mean, there wasn't even an Episcopal church then. But beyond that, he is, again, today in the LA Times, he's like, well, you have what ISIS is doing, but you also have a guy shooting up a community center in Kansas. Really? Those are the same thing?
That's a false equivalence. That's loose language. That's terrible communications. I just don't think it's going after Christians.
It's giving everybody the benefit of the doubt except Christians. You don't see this pattern? And I don't think I'm not a victim guy. I'm not one to always say, oh, we're being persecuted or something. But in this case, I see that pattern.
Well, what about the Jews in the kosher deli in Paris?
Well, that's just insanity. Well, they knew they stepped in it there. I think the president in his heart did not want to. I think he really did think it was random. Well, who knows what his heart is.
Lumpy 2009, another suspicious name. If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it must be Josh Earnest. So there you go. He wants to be in on the...
Suck it through the jet engine. That's what I said.
What
get all kinds of
by the way, Josh Earnest. It's so awesome. Like you couldn't write this.
Zorro Kitty.
Zorro Kitty.
Yeah, we should have it on the
show.
All
right. Let's round up. Is any policy going to come out of this 3-day summit of extremism?
No.
Of course not.
Is this a dog and pony show?
Yes.
It is, and it's a laughable waste of time and energy. If the speech President gave should have been given, if at all, by a third-level State Department functionary. But that a president ought to talk about outreach and all this like a community organizer in the middle of a damn war where people are being burned alive and beheaded and children crucified in the streets of Iraq, it is utterly incomprehensible. And that's why it is not the fault of the communication shop. The president is saying and doing and thinking things which are either indefensible, impossible to understand, or offensive, as he is when he talks about getting off your high horse.
I'll give him a pass on his language today because it's very similar to what President Bush was giving during his war. But it is an utter waste of time and a dog and pony show.
Can I disagree,
and nothing will come out of it.
And I never disagree with either one of you, but there will be policies that flow from this. There always are. By the nature of the bureaucracy, you will see an uptick, a net gain in symposia, in workshops, all through the federal agencies and the military, where people get together and learn about their microaggressions, their biases. This will result in a net increase in lecturing of American citizens about how they're the ones who are biased. Go deep into your heart and fight the bigotry within. It's the same song they've been singing for 6 years, and I'm a little sick of it.